the seventh forgotten African empires that rivaled Europe. Have you ever wondered about the great empires of history? When we think of powerful civilizations, names like Rome, Greece, and the British Empire often come to mind. But what if I told you that Africa, long before European domination, was home to some of the most advanced and wealthy civilizations the world has ever seen? Empires with vast armies, bustling trade routes, and architectural wonders that rivaled anything in Europe. So why do we hear so little about them? Why are their stories buried beneath the sands of time? This is the forgotten history of Africa's greatest empires, kingdoms that shaped the world, yet remain overlooked. The Mali Empire, the Golden Kingdom of Africa. Let's start with one of the most powerful and wealthiest empires the world has ever known, the Mali Empire. At its height in the 14th century, Mali was the epicenter of trade, culture, and learning in West Africa. It was a kingdom so rich in gold that its ruler, Musa, is still considered the wealthiest person in human history. But just how rich was he? Imagine this: in 1324, Musa embarked on a pilgrimage to Mecca, bringing with him a caravan of 60,000 men, each carrying gold. When he passed through Cairo, he distributed so much gold that he single-handedly devalued the currency, causing inflation that lasted for years. But wealth alone didn't define Mali. Timbuktu, one of Mali's greatest cities, became the world's intellectual hub, home to the legendary University of Sankore. Scholars from across Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe traveled there to study astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The empire's influence extended deep into trade, stretching from the Sahara to the Atlantic, dealing in salt, gold, and ivory. So if Mali was this powerful, why did it fall? The answer lies in internal conflicts, shifting trade routes and invasions by rival factions. By the 17th century, the once glorious empire had faded into history. But what if Mali had not collapsed? What if its intellectual and economic dominance had continued? Could it have rivaled Europe's Renaissance? Or even changed the course of global history? The Songhai Empire, Africa's military superpower. After the decline of Mali, another empire rose to dominate West Africa, the Songhai Empire. If Mali was the richest, Songhai was the strongest. With a highly trained army and a fleet of war canoes patrolling the Niger River, Songhai was Africa's military superpower. Under the leadership of Sunni Ali in the 15th century, Songhai expanded its territory, conquering key cities like Timbuktu and Djenné. Sunni Ali was a brilliant strategist, feared by his enemies and revered by his people. But it was his successor, Askia the Great, who transformed Songhai into a true empire. Askia introduced a centralized government, a professional army, and an economic system that rivaled any European kingdom. His empire controlled trade routes spanning thousands of miles, linking Africa to the Mediterranean and beyond. The empire's scholars and scientists continued Mali's tradition of learning, ensuring that West Africa remained a beacon of knowledge. But even the greatest empires are not invincible. In 1591, the Moroccan army, armed with gunpowder weapons, invaded Songhai. The empire's warriors, armed only with spears and swords, stood little chance against the advanced firearms. Songhai collapsed, marking the end of West Africa's golden age. But imagine if Songhai had developed gunpowder technology first. How would African history and global history have changed? The Benin Empire, the master of bronze and warfare. Among Africa's most fascinating civilizations, the Benin Empire was an artistic and military powerhouse. Located in present-day Nigeria, Benin thrived from the 11th century until the 19th century, excelling in governance, trade, and warfare. One of the most remarkable aspects of Benin was its bronze craftsmanship. The Benin bronzes, intricately detailed, plaques and sculptures, are considered some of the finest artworks in history. European explorers marveled at the empire's sophisticated metallurgy and city planning, with Benin City boasting massive walls that stretched for miles, rivaling those of any European fortress. Benin was also a formidable military power. Its warriors, armed with advanced weapons and tactical warfare strategies, kept the empire secure against invaders for centuries. The kingdom traded extensively with European merchants, exchanging goods such as pepper, ivory, and textiles. However, by the late 19th century, British imperial forces launched a devastating invasion, destroying much of the city and looting its treasures. The once thriving empire was reduced to a colony. But what if Benin had modernized its military earlier? Could it have resisted European conquest and remained a dominant force in Africa? The Kingdom of Congo, a political powerhouse. While West Africa flourished, Central Africa had its own mighty civilization, the Kingdom of Congo. Unlike many other African states, Congo developed a centralized government with a structured political system. By the 15th century, Congo was thriving. Its economy powered by trade in ivory, textiles, and even copper. But what makes Congo truly fascinating is its interaction with Europe. When Portuguese explorers arrived in the late 1400s, they were shocked to find a kingdom so advanced, with organized cities and a monarchy similar to those in Europe. Congo's rulers even converted to Christianity, adopting European titles and sending emissaries to the Vatican. However, this relationship would ultimately prove devastating. The transatlantic slave trade ravaged the empire. The Portuguese, once allies, became exploiters, fueling civil wars and enslaving Congo's people. By the 18th century, the once mighty kingdom was reduced to chaos. What if Congo had resisted European influence? Could it have become a dominant power in world affairs rather than a victim of exploitation? The Ghana Empire, the land of gold. Before Mali and Songhai, there was the Ghana Empire, one of the earliest great African empires. Emerging in the 4th century, Ghana controlled vast gold mines and trade routes across West Africa. Arab traders called it the land of gold, as its wealth was unmatched. Ghana's rulers controlled the lucrative trans-Saharan trade, exchanging gold and ivory for salt, cloth, and weapons. At its height, the empire's capital, Kumbi Saleh, was a bustling metropolis filled with traders, scholars, and craftsmen. However, the empire faced pressure from external invaders and internal rebellions. By the 13th century, it had weakened, allowing the rise of the Mali Empire. What if Ghana had expanded its military and trade alliances? Could it have resisted external threats and continued its dominance? The Kingdom of Axum, Africa's ancient superpower. In East Africa, the Kingdom of Axum thrived between the 1st and 7th centuries, controlling trade routes between Africa, the Middle East, and India. Located in present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, Axum was a naval and commercial giant. The kingdom had advanced engineering, constructing massive obelisks and underground tombs that still stand today. Axum also became one of the earliest Christian kingdoms, adopting the faith long before much of Europe. However, changes in trade routes and Islamic expansion weakened Axum. By the 10th century, its influence had faded. What if Axum had adapted to shifting trade patterns? Could it have remained a dominant world power? The Great Zimbabwe, Africa's mysterious stone city. Moving to southern Africa, we find one of the most enigmatic civilizations, Great Zimbabwe, a city of towering stone walls, intricate structures, and advanced engineering. Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a powerful trading empire between the 11th and 15th centuries. But who built it? For centuries, European historians refused to believe that Africans could have constructed such an advanced city. Some even claimed it was the work of the Phoenicians or lost tribes of Israel. But archaeology has proven otherwise. Great Zimbabwe was an African achievement, a testament to the region's architectural and economic prowess. Gold, ivory, and artifacts from China and Persia have been found there, proving that it was part of a global trade network. Why are these empires forgotten? If these African empires were so powerful, so rich, and so advanced, why do we hear so little about them? The answer is complex. Colonial narratives downplayed African achievements, and history books often focused on European conquests. But the truth is undeniable. Africa had civilizations that rivaled, and in some cases, surpassed their European counterparts. Now the world is rediscovering this lost history. The stories of Africa's great empires are being told once again. And it is up to us to share them, remember them, and celebrate them. If you found this history fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more historical documentaries. There's so much more history waiting to be uncovered.